we are going to talk about getting color on a page and not worrying too much about where everything's at and all the details, okay? So let's start out with this image, and I will post this image for you. And I'm going to start out by painting it 4 times, and that's what I want you to do. So I'm going to move it aside right now, and I want you to paint all 4 on one page. So as big a sketchbook as you have, and I'm just going to start, and it doesn't really matter that this is perfect. I'm going to divide it into 4 sections. Just pulling it down. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Some are a little bigger than others, but that's okay. So here's the big idea, is to paint all at once, all 4. So I'm going to work on this one, and then this one, and this one, and go back to this one, and move around and share my colors, okay? No pencils, I don't want you to do any drawing. This is what we're going to do. So I'm going to set this over here, and I will show you, I'll paste it up here so you can see it. So I want you to see the whole page. I've got just my primary colors plus white. And you probably have a brush about this big, which is pretty small for what we're gonna do. If this is all you have, use it, but find the biggest brush that you can find. So I'm gonna use this big old honking brush. So I want you to see just how we can move things around. Now, I'm not saying paint a picture of flowers. This is your inspiration. So there are a couple things I really see here that are really lovely. This space, this shape, the negative space is really nice there. These petals coming out are radiating out. These curls in here and the spots on top. I'm interested in these stripes. Now, remember I said we're primary colors, so I have to think about it. This might be red. This back here might be blue or violet. Okay, so I don't want you to fuss too much about matching the colors. Again, this is your inspiration. So I'm just gonna paint. I wanna start. So I'm gonna start kind of simple with the big shapes, the sunflower and the lily. Moving my brush around, get some more paint on there. And then I've got this shape up here, press down and get a little lighter. See, I'm playing around a little bit with how I can make this happen. Now, or that shape happen with one stroke, just one paint stroke. So I'm gonna use my palette here and mix up a little green, just a little bit. And remember, we tone it down with the opposite color, so it's awfully bright. So I'm gonna tone it down just a teeny weeny dot of red, and I've got a nice little green. So I have another shape like that, similar, that is still inside the flower. And then I have some green areas down here where the vase is, and here. I'm going to clean my brush out. And remember I said I'm moving around. So maybe I want to try, and this is just the beginning, okay, not done. Maybe I want to just focus in on that sunflower and the circle. Let's add a little red to that, right in there. Now I'm mixing it on the paper. I told you not to do that before, but now it's okay. Just push and pull. Those shapes are cool, aren't they? Push and pull. Blend it in. I'm not even going to go all the way around it. I'm just focusing just on that. Well, I guess I lied, I am. I'm just focusing on that movement of that sunflower, and maybe then coming back in with a little bit of red in here. Now I also have some lovely pinks up in here. So I'm going to go ahead and add that as a negative space. And then I've got a pink shape here. And let's come back, clean my brush a little bit. I want to come back and do a little bit more with that sunflower. See, you know, you can't even tell it's sunflower. Don't worry about that. Just get some color in there. I'm going to add some of this negative space here, and then I've got some of that pink. I'm going to let it be a little red in here and shaping, and I'm just kind of letting it happen. Now there's my vase, and then I've got these stripes. Remember I said I might make them red. My stripes, very, very abstract. I don't want you to get all caught up in too much of what things are supposed to be. I want some inspiration here. So you can't even tell that belongs to the same thing, can you? So let's get a little bit of blue back here for my negative space. This is, you're kind of simplifying. That's the whole idea here, is you're simplifying and just looking for colors and shapes in simple colors. In simple shapes. Colors and simple shapes. How does that say? How do I say that? I don't know. And I'll add a little bit of blue in here, even though that's not what really happens. But you've got some dark, so I'm making my dark my cooler colors. That's really sharp, isn't it? So I could even add some red in there. So I'm just focusing in on those stripes and then that explosion of flower. And I kind of like that red and blue together. Down here opposite the stripes. And then I can bring the same red and blue up in here. Now, what I want you to be aware of is that I'm just exploring marks, choppy brush strokes, negative spaces. This is not going to look like a finished painting. You are just exploring things. Let's come back in with a little more green maybe, huh? It's kind of a very bright green. Throw in a little green in here. Now I want to come back and work on these lower ones now. Remember I said I'm kind of working around. So let's see. I'm going to lay in my vase as a green area. And then that and this and that little mark there. And then come back in with some that purple stripes coming up through that negative space. That's cool, isn't it? And I haven't even focused on my flowers yet. Now this one, I want to try something. Don't know if it will work or not, but I want my paintbrush to be a little juicy. I'm going to start with that purple. And oh, you're thinking, what is she doing? She doesn't know. She's experimenting. Remember we said that. Okay. So I have this cool shape of this flower here. So I'm going to come, while it's wet, I know it's crinkling, and I'm going to try to, don't rub too much. Run into that problem where it's not working very well, but I did rub some of it away. Now I can come back in with this, I'm still using this big old fat brush, right? I'm going to come back in with some darker things and just focus in on the negative space. I have no idea if this is going to work. It might, but it might not. But I am getting some negative space happening. And because it's not horribly wet, it's not bleeding. There's those two little buds that we started out with earlier. And I'm not even going to include the table. So now you kind of have the overall negative space of that vase. And I'm going to, watch. Oh, see, this is what I want you to experiment with. That is so cool. There's my table, right? Voila, a table. Yeah, I love that, I love that, I love that. So I have this color and I'm going to just continue it. Because remember I said I want you moving around. So I'm going to continue this color up here with that idea of the negative space a little bit. And let's bring it back up to the top. I need some darks in here, don't I? I'm liking these bottom ones a little better than the top ones now. Clean my brush, still have my paper towel. So let's just come in with some orange now. See what happens. Lay in some white. And I've got this big sunflower shape here. And this lily coming through here, just kind of hinting at everything. Keep those shapes out. And let's go in with some red in the middle. And I have totally neglected this lovely pink little carnation that's over there, and those pink lilies. I don't know what they're called. I can never remember. I grow them in my garden because they're some kind of fun to paint. So I've got some There's my little carnation. Laying in some pink. Come back in with that same pink. Remember I said I want to move around and connect all these paintings. Maybe even round that off. Okay, so I need some yellow. We'll start with some orange. So I'm just taking that pink, giving it a circle. Let's try something. I'm going to lay in some white here and then add the yellow to it. Remember, we were radiating out from that center. Let it overlap. This yellow is pretty transparent. Lay in. I'm going to come back up here with some white. I'm getting overworked on that guy, so I'm going to quit. Let's see, this is a little drier now. I can add some heavier yellow. So this is about experimenting, making marks, trying some new things. I'm going to, let's see, orange this up down here. It doesn't have to just be the acrylic paint. You're just moving paint around. And I just want you to simplify and abstract. So this is really super abstract. This one's kind of crazy. You can't even tell what it is. But I see a flower kind of starting to happen here. I like the negative space that's going on here, but it got a little muddy there. And this one's kind of moving and action-packed. I think I might try to make this flower a little bigger, but it's really hard to go over top of everything. So again, this first guy, the picture we looked at, is just your inspiration for something I want you to try. Okay, so the only other thing I think I really kind of need is a little bit of green right here. And let's darken that, because there are dark spaces in that green. And that will hopefully pop that flower out a little bit. I also have a shadow that goes back here, so I'm going to just go with blue. This is all negative space, isn't it? And I lost a little bit of green up here. Maybe come in with more negative space here to differentiate the table from, I'm still leaving those marks though. I still want to leave those marks. Okay, I'm going to stop with that. And I want to work into this one a little more. Maybe lighten up parts of this green jar. That's a better color, isn't it? Don't feel like you have to know what you're doing here, because believe me, I don't really know what I'm doing here. The idea here is to experiment with some mark making, play around with your colors a little bit. And no, I didn't paint this. This was my inspiration. Okay, so that's what you're going to do, and you're going to do it 4 times. Now, yours should look differently than mine. Okay, I want yours to not look exactly like mine. What inspires you? Okay, this negative space one with the marks. Explore how you can build those stripes or eliminate the stripes. Or if you want it to be more realistic, get this browner down here, like this is browner. That's just an orange. Remember we said brown is a neutral orange. Okay, so this is just like an orange. It's just a dull orange. Okay, so that's the next step. You're going to paint this 4 times. Same image 4 times. Exploring, experimenting, each one should be different, and they're not going to be pretty, so don't worry about it.